Good morning, GCAA, and welcome to this month's episode of the Phoenix Report. I'm Quinlan Holt. In this month's Big Questions, we asked students about their favorite winter holiday traditions.
I celebrate Christmas with my Christian family, but me and my mother aren't Christian, but we celebrate Christmas. Mainly for Christmas, eating pierogies. They're delicious, and probably just waking up on Christmas Day.
Christmas. Well, I usually go to my family's house and we open gifts over there and we eat food.
My favorite Christmas tradition is going outside.
I celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, and sometimes Kwanzaa. For Christmas, I go to two different houses, and we have like this really big festival kind of holiday where we'll go on carriage rides, and then we'll go to my cousin's house and we'll all open presents and watch the little kids run around and be crazy. And then for Hanukkah, we meet on Hanukkah on the first day of Hanukkah, and we'll make some dreidels and we'll paint these little boats, and then we'll play this card game for these little coin candies. And then Kwanzaa, we all on my dad's side go and go to my aunt's basement, and she has a pool table, a flat screen TV, and then we'll have a cookout. It's pretty fun.
All of them, but mostly Christmas.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, I'm not a religious person really, but I celebrate Christmas and all that.
Throwing pieces of snow at my friends and family's faces.
Sledding down our hill.
I celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas. When me and my family, my younger cousins and stuff, and my older cousins be all go out and curl. We're going knock on other people's doors and be well, we like to sing Christmas songs to you. And we let the younger kids sing the Christmas songs, and it'd be so cute because they be trying to sing the words and they can't. But they'd be oh, because we have a bucket so they can put money in it, and we give it to the homeless shelter or charities and stuff like that. So yeah, we do that every year. We've been doing that for a long time.
Christmas, and sometimes I do some of the Jewish or traditions. I like playing with dreidels. Dreidels are so fun, spinning them, and then the chocolate candy. I like setting up the tree. We don't buy real trees because it makes too big of a mess of the house. Presents, I got older, so now I buy my parents presents instead of just getting presents because, I don't like presents really. It's nothing to get. I like socks though. I used to not like socks, now I like socks.
Mainly the usual kind of Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I have German heritage, and so my dad also spent 7 years in Germany, and so there's this German tradition where when you're setting up your Christmas tree and putting in ornaments, you'll have this little pickle ornament, and you hide it inside the tree, and your family members are supposed to try and find it.
I celebrate Christmas. Well, every Christmas morning, me and my family, we get up really early and we go and pack food for elderly people. It's really cool. I've been doing it since I was 4, so it's been really long time.
Well, of course, Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's about it. Decorating the tree, and me and my mentor, we always go bake cookies and decorate ornaments. And me and my mom, we take my little god sisters, and we help them make cookies for Santa Claus.
In November, some visual art students created live art pieces in the style of Alexa Mead as part of a project that was included in the art show.
So we based this project off of a contemporary current artist named Alexa Mead, and she is famous for taking real people and painting them to look like 2D paintings. She'll do it in public, in public installments, kind of like what we're doing. She'll also do it in her studio, and it's a type of ephemeral art, of temporary art, because she'll paint them in, they'll look 2D, and then she has them start moving. She'll do video of them, and then she'll take pictures, and then that's the only way it exists. So that's where the idea came from, is having our students experience that. themselves.
Okay, so this project was mostly based off of other artists' portraits because we recently watched a video from a woman who would take models in and she would do only one-day projects where she would paint her whole basement area or her set, and she would paint the model and paint the clothes and the furniture, and she'll just make her own paintings with photography. For me personally, I'm probably gonna look into doing more body art projects because I do like the idea of painting someone and making them look 2D or very like realistic, like another painting, or like interesting in different ways. So I guess it's going to help me later on in the future when it comes to looking into colleges.
I think it went really well. I was just really happy it went well, and I hope a lot of people have been able to view it, and that makes me happy because in the visual arts we're oftentimes just kind of stuck in our studio. So I'm glad that people have been able to see what they've been doing, the hard work they do.
St. Louis Public Radio has their offices just down the road from our school, so 3 students decided to see what STLPR was all about in their documentary project for media literacy.
So the question was, how many or how?
About what is the size of your audience that you're reaching through various sources, like just through the radio and also like through
That's
Facebook?
more of a Robert question.
Downstairs.
He knows all the numbers. Like we get regular reports from what used to be Arbitron, now is Nielsen.
Well, St. Louis Public Radio is, as the name implies, a public radio organization, and its mission is to be a news organization that presents news and information to our audience, which is the St. Louis region, which includes part of Illinois and the area south to Rolla now, and out west through the St. Louis suburbs. And what we want to do is present people a complete and accurate picture of our region, from government to arts and culture to important news about health and medicine and science and research, all aspects of life. We also want to make sure we have a really strong presentation on the web because a lot of people get their information on their phones. So we have a data person. We have a staff photographer. We're hiring a new digital journalist who will be writing primarily for readers and creating other illustrations and projects that will appeal to a web audience. So we're trying to do all those things with a fairly small staff by some standards, larger by others, and make sure we give people a comprehensive and accessible view of the news in their world. And I'm an ex-newspaper person, so we're not like the newspaper, I can tell you that, where we try to, at least newspapers for a long time, tried to cover everything for everybody. Newspapers were really broadcasters in the sense that newspapers were trying to capture everything that goes on for most people, for a mass audience. And broadcasters actually are a little bit of what I would call narrowcasters, where we know our audience isn't as big as the biggest media organizations in a particular region, but we want to appeal to their interests. And public media audience is fairly well educated, pretty smart. Of course, we want to appeal to all parts of our community, and that's a big focus of our efforts, is to make sure that we cover people from different walks of life, from different racial and ethnic and communities, young and old, with different interests. We want to make sure that we give them a good listening experience because we're a radio station. So we look for people who know how to speak well, or who sound good, or know how to tell it like it is. And we want to make sure we cover newsmakers and regular people. And we do this on the radio through our newscasts and our news features, where you'll have somebody interviewing somebody and maybe mixing in their production the sound of what they're doing, or if it's an artist, the sound of their work. Say if it's a musician, you'll hear bits of, I'm working on a piece right now about a singer, and I'm going to mix in pieces of her music along with her voice and my voice. But I'm not from St. Louis, so I can't really, I've been here about a year and a half, so I can't really speak to how other news organizations here do it.
Right.
But I've been in the news business for like 30 years in different cities, in Indiana and Kentucky and Florida and Minnesota and now here. And media everywhere is very similar. So having said that, I will tell you that public radio is serious and thoughtful. We also try to give people certain prizes, and we have a reputation of being fair and presenting all points of view. So some people like to say it's no slant, no rant. That's not really a favorite phrase of mine. I do think we try to be fair and present a balanced picture of the news. We're not always successful, and we have our critics. Some people, a lot of people in different parts of the United States will criticize public media and journalism in general as being liberal. I do think if you're a news person, you're a person who is curious and skeptical, and a person who is all for order and control might not appreciate that as much as somebody who is also open to a lot of different points of view, which is what we're trying to provide. Oh, I think we have a newsroom of 20 to 30 people, and that would probably about 15 reporters, and then we have several producers who help produce the talk show. We have a talk show host, Don Marsh. We have announcers. We have newscasters who read the news that people hear on the news, and we have a digital editor and other editors that were in this room who edit radio and web copy. So I would say we're in the 30-some person range as a station, and as a newsroom rather. And then we have other floors that handle other kinds of things like raising money. If you mean to news consumers, to regular people who want to find, my best advice, and this is what I try to tell people I know personally, including people in my family, is to make sure you get your news from lots of different kinds of sources, and good reputable ones. Like I personally read lots of different newspapers and their websites, and magazines, and I listen to NPR and local stations. I listen to commercial radio. I'm a big music fan. I love jazz, for example. So I want to be informed about culture. I'm not a big talk radio or cable news fan, although I have, especially when, in times of big news, I might turn to those sources. Usually if something big happens in another state, you know where I go? I go to the local news outlet in that, like when the Texas shootings occurred, I went to the Texas newspapers because I knew they were on the ground and they would have the best, most informative coverage of that event. And people complain, well, the news isn't covering such and such, and they're complaining about CNN or somebody or Fox not covering it. Well, you need to go to the source. So my advice is to do things like that, and to make sure you get your news from a variety of sources and trusted sources. And like NPR is a trusted news source. My own opinion is the New York Times and the Washington Post, the LA Times, or Miami Herald. Those are trusted news organizations in their regions. And St. Louis Public Radio, we're trying to make it a trusted news source. Oh, we have podcasts. So we have the We Live Here podcast covers race and diversity and all the issues important to those communities and equality and justice. And we offer NPR podcasts that you can obtain through their website. I'm not sure through ours, but we're part of the public radio system. I'm sure you can get our news through newsletters. We also have groups that reach out to certain communities, like we have a young listeners group for millennials who are interested in public radio and the kind of news and information we provide. And people can join. We also try to make sure we're present in the community. But mostly we provide our information through over the air, through streaming. We have I can stream our classical music outlet or our jazz outlet. You can also stream our newscast. But mostly it's web and radio. And radio is our biggest, that's the biggest way we reach people still. News consumers, I think it's important for you to look at a wide variety of sources. And if you're interested in working in this business, to seek mentors who already work in this business.
Right.
And to try to do that as early as possible. Don't wait until your seniors are graduating. Please don't wait until after you graduated.
From college, not high school, right?
Yeah. If you're going to college, or if you're not going to college, there are still ways to get involved, and just make sure you're curious and want to know more about the world, and get your news from a lot of different places. That's what I do.
Yeah, I saw that happen, but I'm not.
I don't know if there's anything to do now, but I just was circling back to that because she had been following.
I'm not entirely sure she's back today.
Okay.
If she is, I may ask her. When we mentioned that something is, might move, we should put up.
I wanted to maybe close it out.
Close the
because
chapter, yeah.
We had a lot of people following the post
Okay.
that she had. There was like huge traffic on those.
Okay, yeah. Whenever she gets back, I'll have her do something. Even if it's tomorrow, for tomorrow afternoon, which wouldn't be bad, I think. I don't see anybody from the talk show. Normally we ask the talk show people who they're going to have on to interview, and they usually tell us.
For even more stories and school news, check out gcaatoday.com. If you have a story idea or a news tip, email us at tips@gcaatoday.com. For the Phoenix Report and GCAA Student Media, I'm Quinlan Holt. Thanks for watching.